Story this evening continues to be from Uttarkashi. A village was washed away and several people were found missing after a major cloudburst struck Dharali area near Harsil in Uttarakhand's Uttarkashi. The Uttarkashi police have said that due to the rising water level of Kheergarh in the Harsil area, reports of damage in Dharali have prompted the police, the SDRF, the army as well as other disaster response teams to engage in relief and rescue operations at the site. Now, remember, scary visuals of this cloudburst have emerged, showing houses being swept away with the force of the triggered flood. Meanwhile, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami has taken note. He said the SDRF, NDRF, district administration, as well as other related teams are all engaged in relief and rescue operations on a war footing.
यहाँ पर सब लोग पूरी मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं, सेना के लोग भी वहाँ पहुँच गए हैं और आपदा प्रबंधन डिपार्टमेंट, हमारा जिला प्रशासन और साथ ही ITBP, NDRF, SDRF और सभी आधुनिक गृह मंत्री जी ने भी अभी पूरी जानकारी ली है और हर संभव मदद के लिए कहा है कि हर हालत में वहाँ पर जो है लोगों को जल्दी से जल्दी बचाया जाना चाहिए, लोगों को राहत पहुँचाई जानी चाहिए। वही हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है, सभी लोगों को बचाना, सब लोगों को जो है मदद करना और तरह से राहत के कामों को बहुत तेजी से करना। जी, इसी काम में हम लोग लगे हुए हैं इस समय।
जी सर, कितना बड़ा नुकसान फौरी तौर पर जो फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन आप तक आई है? कई लोग
अभी तो सब लोग चूंकि जो एक वीडियो आया है उस वीडियो में एकदम से जो है बादल फटने से मलबा आने का दिख रहा है, लेकिन अभी चूंकि प्रारंभिक रूप से अभी लोग वहाँ पहुँच रहे हैं, उसके बाद ही जो है जानकारी हो पाएगी कि कितना नुकसान हुआ है। लेकिन हमारी अभी प्राथमिकता ये है कि सभी को जो है तत्काल बचाया जाए, तत्काल लोगों को राहत की जाए, ये हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है, उसी को हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं।
सर, ऋषिकेश से भी टीम्स मूव की गई हैं, इसका मतलब कि चुनौतियां बहुत ज्यादा हैं।
सभी जगह से आपदा प्रबंधन विभाग देहरादून से भी सारी उसको कंट्रोल कर रहा है जी, और हम लोग भी मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं, सारी एजेंसियां लगी हैं, जिला प्रशासन के लोग भी वहाँ पहुंचे हैं, सेना के लोग वहाँ पर पहुंच गए हैं, तो तत्काल बचाव के काम अभी शुरू हो गए, नुकसान का आकलन तो बाद में होगा।
देखिए, जो टीएसए की सूचना है जैसे मिली है, हमारी जो सबसे नजदीक की एसडीआरएफ की टीम थी वो मौके पर पहुंच गई है। इसके अलावा बाकी की 2 यूनिट्स हैं वो वहाँ पहुंचने वाली है। एसडीओसी के सुपरविजन में एक कोऑर्डिनेटेड तरीके से रेस्क्यू का वर्क किया जा रहा है। जो आसपास की एनडीआरएफ है, आर्मी है, उनकी टीम्स जो है वो भी रवाना हो रही हैं और मौके पर पहुंच रही हैं। इसके अलावा जो हमारी एसडीआरएफ की बटालियन हेडक्वार्टर में जो इक्विपमेंट्स को जो इस डिजास्टर में काम आ सकते हैं उनको भी हम लोग एक जियो के सुपरविजन में रवाना कर रहे हैं। और इसमें जहां पर भी लग रहा है कि जो भी एजेंसी जो है इसमें हेल्प कर सकती हैं, एसओसी जो है उसको क्लोजली कोऑर्डिनेट कर रहा है। और सारी की सारी एजेंसी जिसमें आपको बताया, चाहे आर्मी है, चाहे आईटीबीपी है, एनडीआरएफ है, सभी की सभी टीम्स मौके पर पहुंच रही हैं और एक कोऑर्डिनेटेड तरीके से एक रेस्क्यू वर्क करा।
अभी एग्जैक्ट डेटा तो नहीं मिला है, लेकिन ये इन्फॉर्मेशन जरूर है कि धराली में खीर गंगा है गधेरा, जिसमें ऊपर जैसा वीडियो में भी हम देख पा रहे हैं कि क्लाउड बर्स्ट होने से काफी पानी एक साथ आया है, एकदम से आया है। और चूंकि वहाँ पे गेस्ट हाउस हैं और छोटे रेस्टोरेंट भी है और होटल्स भी हैं, तो उसी के मद्देनजर हमने अपना आर्मी का टीम हरसिल की है, उनको मैंने रिक्वेस्ट करके तुरंत भिजवा दिया था। और उनका भी एक अभी मेरे फोन पे अभी नेटवर्क,
उसके ऊपर एक झील थी जहां बादल फटा और फिर वो झील जितनी उसकी कैपेसिटी थी उससे ज्यादा पानी उसमें आ गया। मोहन राणा हमारे संवाददाता हमारे साथ और ज्यादा जानकारी लेकर हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं। फौरन बताइए इस वक्त की स्थिति क्या हो रहा है। मोहन राणा, आवाज आ रही है आपको मेरी?
हाँ जी, मैं अभी सुखी टॉप में हूँ और ये मेरा गांव है और इसके ठीक सामने जो आपको ये बादल का जो आपको सफेद गुब्बार जैसा दिख रहा है, उसके नीचे आपको एक अवाना से एक भेलाघाट करके एक नदी आता है और उसमें बादल फट चुका है। और इसके आप अगर देख रहे होंगे, अभी मैंने कैमरा घुमाया है, नदी से मैं करीब 1 किलोमीटर दूर हूँ। तो नदी का जो जलस्तर है आज इतना बढ़ गया है कि जो 2013 की जो आपदा थी उससे भी भयंकर यहाँ पे हो चुकी है स्थिति। और मेरा सभी लोगों को कहना है कि जो सुखी से नीचे गंगनानी, बटवाड़ी, मनेरी, उत्तरकाशी तक जो भी है, उन्हें नदी किनारे से जो है अलर्ट होके अलग सुरक्षित स्थान पे निकल जाना चाहिए।
लोगों को सुरक्षित स्थानों पर निकल जाना चाहिए। इस वक्त की लाइव तस्वीरें हमारे संवाददाता मोहन राणा आपको दिखा रहे हैं। उनकी छतरी का अगला हिस्सा भी आपको इन तस्वीरों में दिखाई दे रहा है। मतलब ये डेफर्ड नहीं है, ये कुछ देर पहले की तस्वीरें नहीं है, ये एज इट इज वहां घटित हो रहा है जो आपको हमारे संवाददाता दिखा रहे हैं। और उनकी सबसे बड़ी चिंता यह है कि जो बादल आपको व्हाइट जो क्लाउड दिखाई दे रहा है, ये इनमें वही पोटेंशियल है, वही पोटेंशियल थ्रेट है कि कहीं ये एक बार फिर से फ्लैश फ्लड वाली स्थिति को ना बना दे, कहीं बादल फटने की घटना फिर से ना हो जाए, कहीं फिर से इसी तरह का पानी का ऐसा रैला जिसके आगे इंसान की नहीं चलती वहां ना आ जाए। यही मोहन राणा की चिंता है। मोहन राणा, क्या इसके बारे में पहले से कोई अलर्ट साउंड किया गया था? लोगों को ये ताकीद थी, कोई अंदेशा था क्या कि इस तरह की घटना हो सकती है?
नहीं, बिल्कुल भी नहीं थी।
All right, ladies and gentlemen, those are visuals that are emerging out of Uttarakhand. Remember, the entire situation remains precarious as we speak. There is a cloudburst that has happened, extremely catastrophic damage that it has done on its way down. And let me show you the visuals, take you through all of those visuals that are emerging out of Uttarkashi today. Remember, this is a triggered flash flood that happened. Look at this. This entire cloudburst happened here and it flows right here. Look at the fury, the ferociousness with which the water is flowing, taking away with it the entire infrastructure that is present there, whether it's, villages, whether it's hotels, homestays, all of them being swept away with this massive cloudburst and the triggered flash floods there in the region. Remember, as we have been telling you, this is a popular tourist spot, the Harsil area, and there are a lot of people who travel to this place specifically on vacations. But this time around, there is a cloudburst happening. Again, something that is not uncommon in mountainous regions. But what is extremely critical to understand is how this has happened, the kind of damage that it has done on its way down. These are, massive visuals, massive mountains that are now impacted by the cloudburst. And as we have been telling you, look at these. These are residential areas, some of them even converted into homestays. There are people there, and therefore the details still trickling in as to how many people have died, how many are missing, how many are feared trapped in this entire cloudburst and the subsequent flash flood. Let me go across to my colleague Priyank, who is getting us more on this. Priyank, what's the latest that you are picking up as far as the situation is concerned in Uttarkashi as well as the relief and rescue operations?
See, Shreya, we are getting one more report that there is one more cloudburst which has happened just above one army cantonment in Uttarkashi, which is certainly what our correspondent from the on-ground report has been suggesting, that they have been possibility of more cloudbursts. Basically, what had happened, this cloudburst happened just above a water reservoir, and which led to collapsing of this mountain structure, which included water as well as the stone and the mud, which flashed towards this residential colony, where people were not aware that this kind of casualty can happen to them. Then that led to destruction of all these houses. Many of the houses were two-storied houses, which also collapsed, and the visuals, the horrific visuals, which clearly showed that there were many individuals who got trapped below these mud. What we are getting to know that the rescue team members are right now trying to rescue those who are visibly seen from outer periphery, that those individuals who can be pulled up from this particular location. But the fact of the matter is that this mud is certainly of a height of approximately 20 feet high. There are the location where the mud could be of 25 to 30 feet also. That is the biggest challenge, because it is still filled with water. So the rescue team member won't be able to take out this kind of mud which has spread all in this area of Harsil, which is the biggest challenge. We saw it in the initial videos that how people were trying to call those people who could have been trapped or who could have been badly affected because of this cloudburst. But another report of one more cloudburst which is happening in Uttarkashi is certainly a very horrific thing. We are yet to get further response from the on-ground officials, because it is the initial time to be on the ground, try to rescue those who can be rescued as soon as possible. But later in the stage, there has to to be an access to the situation. They will have to go talk to those villagers, try to access the ground situation and try to see that how many more people could have been trapped. Because it's a local only, Shreya, who would be in a better position to tell it to the rescue team members or to the district administration that how many people were trapped, because the timing was such that those villagers could have gone out for work, who could have survived from this flash flood. But the manner in which the visuals have been clearly indicating that it is very horrific that anyone who could have fallen on the way of the water and the mud could have survived in this kind of disaster which has once again happened in Uttarkashi. Now, what we're getting to know that 3 teams of the ITBP and 4 teams of the NDRF is certainly on the
so the rescue teams are doing their work, but remember, viewers, there are a lot of challenges that these NDRF, Indian Army, SDRF teams have to face. One is, of course, the mountainous terrain. The other is the precarious weather. Remember, the Met Department has said that the next 2 to 3 days will also witness heavy rainfall in Uttarakhand. So we'll have to see how the rescue and relief operations move forward. There are challenges that these teams will have to face. At the moment, those details still trickling in as to how many people are missing, how many are fear trapped. But from the looks of it, we can understand that there has to be a massive damage that has been caused. We'll keep getting you every detail from the ground as it is trickling in, but right now it's time for a short break. Viewers, slogans of Lal Salam, hundreds of party workers cheering away. You'd imagine it was the farewell of a hero, except these are convicts, not just accused, but convicted in the case of political violence. These are the 8 CPM workers convicted of mercilessly chopping off the legs of now MP Sadanandan Master, only for his ideology. The 8 CPM leaders convicted in the 1994 Sadanandan case surrendered before the Thalassery Sessions Court after the Supreme Court rejected their plea seeking a reduction in the fine imposed by the High Court. Now, these leaders had been absconding for 7 months and they surrendered as their warrant expired. In February 2024, the High Court observed that the 7-year rigorous imprisonment awarded to the convicts was lenient and increased the fine amount from 20,000 to 50,000 rupees. CPM workers gathered outside the Sessions Court shouting slogans and hailing the convicts as they were being taken from the court to the Kannur Central Jail. It's an attack that redefined political violence in the state, viewers. On the night of 25th January of 1994, as Sadanandan was returning home, he was attacked by the 8 CPM workers with the assailants hacked off both his legs and hurled homemade bombs to scare the onlookers, who got too scared to even take Sadanandan to the hospital. But despite this attack, Sadanandan remained active in politics and public life. In fact, recently, President Draupadi Murmu nominated him to the Rajya Sabha.
I got justice after long 31 years. The incident was in 1994. The case came to first in trial court. Trial court, after the trial, verdicted these convicted persons, 8 persons were guilty. And they must go to jail. That was the verdict. But after coming out of this verdict, they went to Sessions Court for appeal, for getting released. But Sessions Court also upheld this verdict, and these culprits must go to jail. The Sessions Court verdict was like that. After that, they went to High Court. The CPM leaders, they tried to protect these criminals. They made shelter to them. They helped to getting bail for them. But they got bail and they were in bail these days. But the period of bail end and they compelled to go to jail.
All right, shifting focus, viewers, is Karnataka's Khatakhat model unraveling in different ways in the state? Well, amid the admission by multiple MLAs and ministers that development is affected by the lack of funds, the people in Karnataka are facing another challenge. The public transport buses across the state have gone off roads, with the employees alleging that they have not been paid their dues. The KSRTC employees say their salaries were to be hiked. Their arrears are pending from 38 months, and the government has not given in to their demands. The employees say they had given the government 15 days prior notice, but they refused to budge or give in to their demands, and therefore the employees were left with no option but to protest. Now, Karnataka's High Court, viewers, has pulled up the protesting transport unions and questioned why action shouldn't be initiated against them for contempt of court. That's the latest that's coming in from the state. The Karnataka High Court has barred the strike of these protesting transport unions till the 7th of August and warned the unions against contempt of court, while noting that the disruption of public services is unacceptable. In fact, the High Court has also come down heavily on the unions for proceeding with the strike today, despite the invocation of the Essential Services Maintenance Act, and directed that strict action be taken against the unions under this particular act, that is the Essential Services Act. Remember, this is a tussle that has been going on between the transport unions and the Karnataka government. The transport unions say we did give a 15-day prior notice to the government, but they refused to fulfill our demands of our dues being paid. The Karnataka High Court now weighing in on this entire tussle and saying that these transport unions should call off their strike and they should get back to the services. My colleague Neha is getting us more on this. Neha, what more details do you have? The High Court coming down heavily on the transport unions, saying they have a duty towards essential services and they should call off their strike.
Well, that's right. In fact, we're now hearing from the transport unions here, of course, even as the Karnataka High Court there has now wrapped them, has raised questions as well about why, of course, they're going on to strike, which is in contempt of the court order that was issued even yesterday. We're seeing that now the Karnataka High Court coming down hard on the unions, asking them why contempt of court should not be initiated, why action should not be taken against them. But meanwhile, on the other hand, the unions, in fact, have remained firm that they are likely to go ahead with their strike tomorrow. In fact, most importantly, also questions now being raised by the court about why the Essential Services Management Act of the ESMA should not be invoked against them. But of course, we really have to wait and see, as it's been a whole day of inconvenience now for passengers across Karnataka, whether, of course, at all these unions now call off their strike remains to be seen. So far, they've remained quite firm, even after the court order, that they are going to be going ahead.
All right, Neha, thanks very much for joining us with those details. As Neha said, viewers, we'll have to wait and watch whether these transport unions do call off their strike after being pulled up by the Karnataka High Court. With that, it's time for a short break. News and updates continue on Times Now.
Witnessed in the Harsil area in Devbhoomi, the aftermath of a cloudburst which led to flash floods. Devbhoomi, Uttarakhand, has been devastated by landslides and massive floods after cloudburst in the Dharali village. Houses, in fact, entire village have been swept away in the flash floods, which is not showing any signs of slowing down. The Army, NDRF, SDRF, ITBP and several other disaster management teams and agencies have been deployed, have been dragged in for the rescue operations which are currently underway on war footing. But they are being hampered by the inclement weather. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amidst have both spoken to the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhami. They have given assurances from their side to offer complete support in containing nature's fury. And before we go to our reporters and guests, let us get you the reports, the visuals on ground of the devastation in the aftermath of the cloudburst.
उत्तरकाशी के हर्षिल घाटी के धराली में आज बादल फटने की घटना हुई है, जिसमें जो कई होटल और कई स्थानीय जो आवास थे वो जमींदोज हो गए हैं और वहाँ पे जो रेस्क्यू टीमें हैं वो लगातार काम पहुँच रही है। जो आर्मी है वहाँ पे, जो हर्षिल में आर्मी बेस्ड है, वो आर्मी रेस्क्यू के लिए पहुँच चुकी है। इसके अलावा जो जिला प्रशासन है, जिला प्रशासन की टीम भी वहाँ पे पहुंच गए। इस वक्त हमें आपदा प्रबंधन कंट्रोल रूम में, जहां से जो पूरी मॉनिटरिंग है, जो घटना है उसकी पूरी मॉनिटरिंग की जा रही है। जो रेस्क्यू टीमें हैं उनको दिशा निर्देश दिए जा रहे हैं और जो प्रशासन की टीम है वो रास्ते में है, क्योंकि बारिश लगातार जारी है जिले में। जो जगह जगह जो लैंडस्लाइड जो है वो भी सक्रिय हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं रेस्क्यू में दिक्कतें होने की संभावना है, लेकिन जो प्रशासन है वो पूरी मुस्तैदी से कार्य कर रहा है।
The situation is being monitored, it's being tracked closely by the agencies. Meanwhile, we have some breaking inputs coming in and the situation does not look good. 4 people have been confirmed dead in this deluge, the flash floods that also brought along with it debris and led to a massive landslide. So deaths being confirmed now, at least 4 people have lost their lives is what we're given to understand, and many fear that that number is only going to increase. Let me go across to my colleague Priyank, who's joining us in the broadcast with more details. Priyank, at the moment, of course, the priority completely remains on accessing the area, on reaching out to people who may have been trapped in the debris. There are some visuals, there are some videos doing the rounds on social media as well, where one can see how there are a lucky few who are struggling to make their way out of the debris. So the entire focus is going to be on saving as many lives as possible.
Yes, Sati Swati, one more input which we would like to share with our viewers, that the water, muddy water, which fell from the top of the mountain near Sukhi, has finally reached to the main river stream, and it is going down towards the main water trajectory, which means that it is not cause more effect to other areas or other areas where people would have been living. So this particular market area where the people had gathered for prayers, because today is the day when on Monday, in fact, people had come to this particular location for prayers, because that was the last day of Savan Somvar. On Monday they had gone for prayers. That's why the number of tourists was certainly more than it was expected to be. Suddenly around 1:45, when this cloudburst happened, the water along with mud as well as heavy concrete came towards the main market area, which has resulted to hitting out many of these houses and guest houses, which has taken many lives. Now the biggest challenge for the rescue team members is to spot those individuals who could be spotted from the very first go. That's why 20 people have been rescued so far. But the biggest challenge for them would be to identify those individuals who are still missing, because the exact data is yet to be confirmed to the district administration, because the locals are yet to give a detailed account of how many relatives, how many family members are still missing after this sound for the people started screaming for help, and they started alerting other individuals. This is what happens in the mountain range. Everyone in the video, you can see that they have been screaming to alert those individuals who are there on the other side. But what we can gather after the visuals which has been given to the NDRF team also, that once the cloudburst happened on the top of the mountain, the water rushed along with mud and heavy stones and concrete. It rushed towards the main market area. The casualties has happened. 4 deaths have been confirmed. 60 people are still yet to be said to be missing.
Absolutely.
But this flow of mud and
water, these visuals also show how there were a couple of people around, lucky few who managed to brave this. Let's focus on the visuals. Priyank, please stay on with us. Let's in fact take a look at the visuals here on the big screen. How water gushing down, along with it swept away houses. And when you say houses, not just locals, but restaurants and hotels, which means the presence of tourists as well. Take a look at this. This is the path which is already carved out by the river. Houses, hotels and restaurants built here on the banks of the river, and then cloudburst led to this flash flood, and you see water gushing down, bringing along with it a whole lot of debris. And then you'll see some movement here in this area of locals who must have figured out that something is wrong. Take a look at this, the devastation, the scale of devastation caught on camera. water along with mud, sludge, sweeping away houses, restaurants and hotels, whatever came in its way. There's another video which shows how there were people present, and you see movement here, people running to save their lives, but unfortunately they were caught in the gushing water, the mud and the debris that the water brought along with it. However, lives are being saved. Rescue operation is currently underway on war footing. We also have O.P. Singh, former Director General of NDRF, joining us on the broadcast. Before that, let's listen into what the DM had to say.
धराली में खीर गंगा है गधेरा, जिसमें ऊपर जैसा वीडियो में भी हम देख पा रहे हैं कि क्लाउड बर्स्ट होने से काफी पानी एक साथ आया है, एकदम से आया है। और चूंकि वहाँ पे गेस्ट हाउस हैं और छोटे रेस्टोरेंट भी है और होटल्स भी हैं, तो उसी के मद्देनजर हमने अपना आर्मी का टीम हर्षिल की है, उनको हमने रिक्वेस्ट करके तुरंत भिजवा दिया था। और उनका भी एक अभी मेरे फोन पे अभी नेटवर्क पे मुझे पता नहीं, थोड़ा वीक हो रहा है, वहाँ पे कनेक्ट नहीं हो पा रहा है, लेकिन कुछ एक लॉसेस की सूचना है। तो 4 लोगों का उन्होंने मुझे बताया था कि लॉस का आया है, प्रॉपर्टी का लॉसेस। हम लोग मौके पे निकल रहे हैं।
Now this reaction of course came in a short while back, so he was still talking about leaving for the site, talking about how teams have been deployed. The latest is that the teams on ground are carrying out the relief and rescue operations, saving lives, trying to reach out to people who may have been caught in this. Now let's also listen into what the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Mr. Pushkar Singh Dhami, had to say just after this devastation, this cloudburst which led to flash floods took place.
यहाँ पर सब लोग पूरी मॉनिटरिंग कर रहे हैं, सेना के लोग भी वहाँ पहुँच गए हैं और आपदा प्रबंधन डिपार्टमेंट, हमारा जिला प्रशासन और साथ ही ITBP, NDRF, SDRF और सभी यात्री गृह मंत्री जी ने भी अभी पूरी जानकारी ली है और संभव मदद के लिए कहा है कि हर हालत में वहाँ पर जो है लोगों को जल्दी से जल्दी बचाया जाना चाहिए, लोगों को राहत पहुँचाई जानी चाहिए। वही हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है, सभी लोगों को बचाना, सब लोगों को जो है मदद करना और तरह से राहत के कामों को बहुत तेजी से करना। जी, इसी काम में हम लोग लगे हुए हैं इस समय।
जी सर, कितना बड़ा नुकसान फौरी तौर पर जो फर्स्ट हैंड इंफॉर्मेशन आप तक आई है? कई लोग कि
अभी तो सब लोग अभी चूंकि जो एक वीडियो आया है उस वीडियो में एकदम से जो है बादल फटने से मलबा आने का दिख रहा है, लेकिन अभी चूंकि प्रारंभिक रूप से अभी लोग वहाँ पहुँच रहे हैं, उसके बाद ही जो है जानकारी हो पाएगी कि कितना नुकसान हुआ है। लेकिन हमारी अभी प्राथमिकता ये है कि सभी को जो है तत्काल बचाया जाए, तत्काल लोगों को राहत की जाए, ये हमारी सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकता है, उसी को हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं।
सर, ऋषिकेश से भी टीम्स मूव की गई हैं, इसका मतलब कि चुनौतियां बहुत ज्यादा हैं।
सभी जगह से आपदा प्रबंधन विभाग देहरादून से भी सारी उसको कंट्रोल कर रहा है जी, और हम लोग उसका मॉनिटर कर रहे हैं, सारी एजेंसियां लगी हैं, जिला प्रशासन के लोग भी वहाँ पहुंचे हैं, सेना के लोग वहाँ पर पहुंच गए हैं, तो तत्काल बचाव के काम अभी शुरू हो गए, नुकसान का आकलन तो बाद में होगा।